Have you felt lately it's been a real struggle for me to actually study the Bible? Either I fall asleep, I lose interest, or I just don't want to do that. If that's you, this episode is made specifically for you. Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Coss, and yes, I'm going to give you some tips to help you out. Now, I've studied the Bible for over 20 years. I've studied the Bible since I was 17. Right now, I'm 39, so a little over 20 years. Now, this is not to say that I'm a pro, but I can tell you I've experienced all of those feelings, not wanting to do it, being bored with it, falling asleep with it, losing interest, losing faith with it. And this whole episode is to help you not just get answers, but help you actually have a new way of looking at it. So let's look at our perspective of the Bible, and this will probably help you when we get later on to some techniques you can actually use. We want to look at the Bible as the Word of God. And if it's the Word of God, the Bible talks about man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God, which means the Bible is your number one source for how you eat as a believer spiritually. If that is the case, the Bible calls Satan the accuser of the brethren, and he's the enemy of God. So if the Bible is the word of God, the number one person who would oppose you from reading the word of God will be the enemy. So you have to always take in consideration that the enemy will always come to try to stop you from actually studying the Bible. That's his job. He doesn't want you to know this truth. He doesn't want you to be transformed by renewing your mind. He doesn't want that. So he's going to try to do everything and anything possible to stop you from studying. Number two, let's look at perspective. If the Bible is the word of God, it's going to lead me and guide me into truth, which means it's going to tell me things to do that are good for me in the long run, that are adjacent to God. And it's going to also tell me what not to do, right? There are times where decisions you might want to make or decisions I've made that went against the word of God, and I paid the consequence for it. And then there were times where I made decisions based on what his word said, and I was blessed by it. So there is opposition from the enemy, and then there's direction from God through the Bible. Now, the last perspective that you want to look at is anything that helps you grow will usually not start off or usually not always feel pleasant. I've lifted weights for years. I've been a parent for some years. I've been married for some years. I've challenged myself in different ways, but anything that you do that's going to challenge you to grow won't always feel pleasant. So think about these perspectives as we get into some techniques that you can use for studying the Bible and having a newfound love for it. Number one, I would say try to study in a different environment. We're usually always thinking that we need to study only in our home, which could be good. But if home has all the distractions, if home has all of the things around you that make you fall asleep, that make you neglect it, then maybe find different places to study. One of my favorite places to study is by water. If you can get by water, a park near your house, that's a great place. If you can get to a library, that's a great place. A coffee shop, that's a great place. And now, back in the day, it was like a sin. It wasn't a sin, but it was like it wasn't accepted to study with your laptop or your phone. So you have Bible apps on your phone. BibleGateway.com is an amazing website where you can get any Bible version. You can just study on your laptop or your phone at a coffee shop. You can study in your car, various places. But if the home is where you get the most distracted and thought the most, study somewhere else. So that's environment. Number two is think and consider the time of the day that you're studying. Now, the first thing I do when I wake up, I go brush my teeth. And the first thing I do is I start studying then. And the reason why I have this habit is because I know it's harder for me to study later on in the day, because when the day starts, it feels like it doesn't get a break until midday or whatever, and I'm tired by then. Plus, I use the Bible to help me guide my decisions throughout the day. Don't get it twisted. I still sometimes do what I want and disobey, but I'm using it as a guide. I'm also using it to combat the thoughts that I'm having early in the morning. Most of the time, early in the morning is where I'm being fought the most by the enemy. My voices are in my head. The enemy's voices in my head telling me, don't do this, don't do that. You should do that. You should do that. And I want to use the Bible to calm all that down and combat all of that. I also want to use it, and I use it early in the morning to help me renew my mind. Now, I know people, I've helped people who study at night. I've helped people who study midday. Play around with timing and see if that helps. If you find out that studying at night puts you straight to sleep, try midday, try morning, play around with it. Something you can always do also is maybe on Mondays and Tuesdays you study in the morning. Maybe Wednesdays and Thursdays you study afternoon. Fridays and Saturdays you study at night. Play around with it, but timing. So we got environment, we have timing. And third, I would say the topic of what you're studying really does matter. If it's a topic that doesn't interest you, you're not going to keep doing it. So when I first started studying the Bible, my goal was study Genesis to Revelations. And I found quickly I got bored by the time I got to like Leviticus, where it was talking about he begat him, she begat him, and I just got bored. Pick topics. I like to say pick topics where you want to be growing. If your topic is, I want to get free from fear, study the power of God when it comes to fear. I want to get better with money, study that. I want to get better with leadership. Right now I'm in a place where I'm studying about leadership and spiritual warfare because I want to lead my family better. Think about the topics that help you get better because you'll be more prone to actually go in, study, and you'll be more prone to actually stick with it. Usually the method of just open the Bible and study, that's not a great method because you can land on anything and not be filled for that day with the Word of God. So we got environment, we got your timing, we got the topic, and fourth would be an accountability partner. And this is one reason why we've made by the time you hear this, it should be out. We made a virtual Bible study group called Real Life Bible Study, where you're accountable to people or somebody who is already doing the work. The reason why I say this is because if you pick an accountability partner who has the same exact struggle, you guys are going to both talk yourself out of it. The Bible study group is made literally to give you accountability partners on the goals you have when it comes to the Word of God, to get some feedback, to get answers, and realize you're not the only person who's studying, and you're probably not the only person who has some struggles with it. But accountability is strong because on days you don't feel like doing it, and if you come close, you're going to realize quickly there will be days where you don't feel like studying. If you know you have to go and check in with somebody else, it does make a difference. Don't fool yourself. If you know, like, I got to go check in with such and such to let them know that I didn't study today, you're going to probably go ahead and squeeze it in. Environment, timing, topics, accountability. And then the fifth one would be aim to make it a habit. For me to go days without studying is unheard of. It's not because I'm great. It's not because I'm like some superhero. It's more so I've made this my habit. So it's just something that I do because this is how I eat. I look at the Bible as brushing my teeth. It's something that I'm going to do because it's good for me. I look at the Bible as showering. It's something that I'm going to do because it's good for me. And people say it takes 21 days. I like to say it takes 90 days to make a habit. Think about going 90 days of just studying, even if it's 5 minutes a day, even if it's 10 minutes a day. This is one of the habits that will help you with anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, self-worth. It will help you out so greatly, or even just guidance and leading you into different and better avenues and paths. You want to make the Bible something that is habitual for you. It does not mean you won't be fought to not make it a habit. As I said before, one of the number one opposing factors of Bible study is the enemy doesn't want you to study. But it doesn't mean that you cannot still press through. Yes, it's a press. You can do it. So I want to invite you guys, if you're not in the Bible study group, it's completely free. Go to my website, drewcost.com, and get into real life Bible studies where we're going to be studying the Bible, understanding it, living it out, implementing it, and more. I hope to see you there. Get unstuck, guys. Go be great.